Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to announce that we have reached a significant milestone on our YouTube journey. Thanks to your unwavering support and dedication, I am delighted to share that our channel is now fully monetized. This achievement would not have been possible without each and every one of you. Your views, likes, comments, and shares have propelled us forward, allowing us to reach this exciting milestone. As we continue to grow and evolve, I want to express my deepest gratitude to our incredible audience. Your engagement and enthusiasm inspire us to create content that resonates with you, and we are committed to delivering even more valuable and entertaining videos in the future. Thank you once again for being a part of our YouTube community and for your continued support. Together, we will embark on this next chapter of our journey, filled with creativity, innovation, and endless possibilities. Here's to many more exciting adventures ahead. Story number 1. I recall a particular day when I was tasked with opening a house for a young couple to tour. The front of the house appeared pleasant, adorned with numerous windows. However, as one ventured towards the rear, the absence of windows rendered the space quite dark. The previous homeowner had constructed an additional room, which connected to the door leading to the backyard, resulting in the windows facing this new space instead. Access to the backyard necessitated passage through either the garage or the side of the house. As I guided the young couple through the house, which fell within their budget and was situated in a desirable neighborhood, it became evident that they weren't particularly fond of it. Upon completing the tour, I waited until the couple had departed in their car before re-entering the house to use the bathroom. However, upon entering the bathroom, I noticed there were a lot of green flies. I don't know how, because earlier we didn't see any flies in there. A chill ran down my spine as I recalled the record of a young man overdosing and passing away in the house. Swiftly, I exited, locked the door, and drove to the nearby Starbucks to relieve myself. The following week, a man and his wife expressed interest in viewing the house, prompting us to schedule a viewing. Arriving ahead of schedule, I waited outside for 5 minutes until the couple arrived. Being one to always ring the doorbell before entering, regardless of whether anyone was present inside, I pressed the doorbell and inserted my key into the lock. Suddenly, a voice from within exclaimed, "Just a minute." With trepidation, all three of us entered the house. The atmosphere was tense, and our tour proceeded in silence, each of us eager to leave the house swiftly. That house always evoked a sense of unease within me. Nonetheless, I managed to sell it within a month, only for it to reappear on the market within 5 months. Story number 2. I was selling this old house that had been built in 1964. It was a charming place, complete with a chimney and all. Some people really appreciate a house with a chimney. I had a couple interested in viewing the house, so we scheduled an appointment for them to meet me there. On the day of the appointment, I was having lunch with a friend nearby. Since our lunch concluded around 1:30 p.m. and the meeting was set for 2 p.m., I decided to head to the house early. Upon arrival, I parked outside and entered, using the key I had. Sitting down at the dining room table, I checked the time. It was 1:45 p.m., and the couple was due at 2 p.m. I was glued onto my cell phone. I got startled when the drawer to my left slowly opened. Though I turned to look, there was no one in sight. After closing the drawer, I heard a knock at the door. The couple had arrived early. I went to open the door, and it was them. I greeted them and invited them to explore the house. They began exploring the living room and down the hallway to the first bedroom. Then, the wife remarked to her husband, "This house feels a bit odd." Suddenly, a thump was heard from the dining room, as if someone had forcefully shut the drawer. However, I distinctly remembered closing it earlier. I excused myself to investigate the noise, leaving the couple to continue their exploration. Upon reaching the dining room, I found the drawer open again. staring at it, waiting to see if it would close on its own. Just then, the couple returned, expressing their decision not to purchase the house due to its negative atmosphere. After they left, I closed the door and departed. A month later, I managed to sell the house to a retired couple, though I remained unsure if they encountered anything unusual within the premises. Records revealed that a 4-year-old boy had died of lymphoma in the house. 3 years later, the house was back on the market, as the husband of the older couple had passed away, prompting his widow to relocate to live with their daughter. Story number 3. As a real estate agent, I'd offer a word of advice. It's crucial to find a trustworthy agent who prioritizes your needs over simply making a sale. Early in my career, I encountered a house previously inhabited by a Ghanaian family who engaged in peculiar religious practices while renting the property. Their conflicts with neighboring families, who accused them of witchcraft, led them to vacate the premises. Upon cleaning the house, the landlord discovered strange markings on the walls and in the backyard. After repainting, the house was listed for sale, and I assisted in its sale to a young couple with 2 children. However, it wasn't long before the house reappeared on the market, accompanied by unsettling tales. Allegedly, the wife experienced a mental breakdown, attempting to harm herself one night. While her motivations remained unclear, she woke in the dark, seeking a gun stored in a locked bedroom. It was dark, so the wife turned on the light, which woke up her husband. Her husband intervened, resulting in a gunshot that narrowly missed his face. However, the bullet did pierce a little of his right ear. Subsequently, both were hospitalized, with the wife admitted for exhibiting dangerous behavior, including auditory hallucinations. Remarkably, prior to purchasing the house, the wife had no history of mental illness or similar incidents. I suspect the disturbances may be linked to the property's previous tenants. During the incident, the wife repeatedly said that she was trying to protect her family by offering herself to them, which means she wanted to kill herself so that they don't come for her family. I'm not sure what she meant. Who are they or them? The good thing is that she's back to normal after they moved out of the house. She no longer have any visual or auditory hallucinations. She also don't remember what really happened that night. Again, I suspect the disturbances may be linked to the property's previous tenants. Story number 4. Depending on your location or state regulations, real estate agents are typically not obligated to disclose whether someone has died in a property, especially if the death was peaceful. For instance, if an individual had cancer and chose to spend their final days at home, there may be no requirement to disclose this information. I once had a 2-story house that I was showing to a man named Kevin and his family. The appointment was scheduled for 1 p.m., and upon arrival, I found the middle-aged Hmong couple, accompanied by their grandmother, waiting on the front lawn. After exchanging greetings, I opened the door, allowing us to enter. While the grandmother and the wife went upstairs, Kevin and I proceeded to the dining room and then out onto the back patio. Once we had finished our tour, Kevin and I returned indoors and headed upstairs. By the time we descended, the grandmother and Kevin's wife had already finished their exploration and returned to the ground floor. As I was concluding the tour with Kevin, making our way downstairs, I overheard the grandmother whispering to Kevin's wife at the foot of the stairs. When we entered, he rose from the sofa and gestured for us to leave the house. Upon reuniting downstairs, I inquired, "So, do you folks like the house?" To which the grandmother responded, "Dear, did someone recently pass away in this house? He urges us to leave. Do not purchase this house. It is still inhabited. There are better options available." Ultimately, they decided against purchasing the house. I am familiar with the practices of the Hmong community. When seeking a new home, They often bring along individuals sensitive to or capable of perceiving spirits, such as the grandmother. To be transparent, the previous owner of the house had indeed passed away from colon cancer. He was only 59 years old and passed away while on the couch, though not the one present as decoration in the house. It was disposed of afterward. Story number 5. I remember when I was still new to real estate, attempting to sell a house that had languished on the market for quite some time. The house, built in 1922, possessed a vintage charm, but required extensive renovations. It's in an older neighborhood with big trees on both sides of the street. The house itself was dark inside due to the trees. In 2018, a couple expressed interest in purchasing the house, scheduling an appointment for a tour. Arriving promptly at 4 p.m., I greeted the couple, David and his partner Mark, and led them inside. As I turned on the lights in the living room, the lights in the hallway flickered to life with a slight delay, prompting our attention. Mark and David embarked on a thorough exploration of the house, traversing from the living room to the dining room, while the flickering lights in the hallway persisted. I reassured them of the house's age, attributing the electrical anomalies to potential issues with the power supply. Upon noticing a switch at the hallway's corner, I went to turn it down, and the lights in the hallway went off. I thought to myself how strange it was that the lights came on itself earlier when I turned on the switch in the living room. Mark and David continues to explore the house, going from room to room. They would turn on the lights when they go into a room and turn it off on their way out. I didn't want to be a bother, so I was just hanging out in the dining room and let the couple explore the house. Following their examination, Mark and David returned, expressing admiration for the house despite acknowledging the extensive renovations required. They expressed readiness to negotiate with the property owner, signaling potential interest. During our discussion, Mark queried David about the lights in the last bedroom, speculating whether they had been inadvertently left on. David, uncertain, recalled having switched them off. Assuring them that I would attend to the matter, I watched as Mark and David departed to their car. Venturing back down the hallway, I inspected the room to find it vacant, suggesting a simple oversight. As I exited the house, my hand instinctively reached to flick off the light switch, only to encounter another hand in the darkness. Startled, I hastily retreated, finding myself outside with David and Mark already gone. Despite eventually selling the house to Mark and David, it resurfaced on the market 2 years later. The chilling and eerie atmosphere that pervaded the house remained unchanged, leaving an indelible impression. Story number 6. Here in South Carolina, it is mandated by law that we disclose to our clients any history of haunting or paranormal activity associated with a property. Hence, it's not uncommon to encounter for sale signs with an additional tagline indicating the property's haunted status. My academic background initially led me down the path of chemistry during my college years, until I ventured into real estate alongside my brother-in-law. When it comes to matters involving the paranormal, I tend to adopt a somewhat agnostic stance. In late 2020, amidst the nationwide lockdown, I found myself still conducting house viewings for clients. One particular client, Bob, expressed interest in viewing an old house dating back to 1942, a 2-story structure nestled on a street corner. Bob had arranged an appointment for me to showcase the house, but on the scheduled day, he called to inform me that he had developed a cough and subsequently tested positive for the virus. Requesting a favor, Bob proposed a video call whereby I could provide him with a virtual tour of the house. This practice had become commonplace among real estate agents during that time. During the video call with Bob, I guided him through each room of the house, all the while hearing his persistent coughing in the background. Navigating from the first floor to the second, via the staircase, I continued the virtual tour. However, midway through, Bob suddenly erupted in panic, exclaiming, "Diana, your daughter is standing on the top of the staircase railing." Confused, I glanced upward, then back to my phone, clarifying to Bob that I did not have a daughter. Rather, I was a mother to 2 boys. Despite my reassurances, Bob persisted in his agitation, urging me to position my phone toward the railing on the 2nd floor, where he claimed to have seen a girl standing. With a growing sense of unease, I swiftly exited the house, closing the door behind me while attempting to maintain composure until Bob and I concluded the call. It later came to my attention that the house had a tragic history involving an 8-year-old girl who, afflicted by sleepwalking, had fatally fallen from the staircase to the 2nd floor one night. Regrettably, Bob's condition worsened, leading to his hospitalization and subsequent admittance to the ICU mere days after falling ill. That's all for this video. Thank you for making all the way through and supporting my stories. Have a wonderful day or night.